Two tragedies in 1 week. People in the mid-state comforting each other after 15 people died. 6 in a school shooting and 9 in a military helicopter crash.
I mean, it was an explosion and we could hear it. And so I immediately jumped up and ran outside and called 911 within 15 seconds of seeing.
You get a big step, just like you had in Bulletproof Vest, and you had the AK.
We have the latest developments as communities in Tennessee and Kentucky try to make sense of this week's devastation. And the first ever criminal case against a former U.S. president. What we know about the investigation and how it could impact President Donald Trump's potential bid for the White House.
This is WSMV 4 News at 10.
Good evening to you. I'm Lauren Lowry. Let's start with this helicopter crash in Trigg County, Kentucky. It happened just after 10 o'clock last night. 2 Blackhawks crashed. In total, 9 soldiers died.
Today is a tough and a tragic day for Kentucky, for the Fort Campbell, and for the 101st.
Let's take a look at where this happened, right by Katie's. The soldiers were from Fort Campbell on the other side of the state line. And the Army says soldiers were doing routine medical rescue training. This area is often used for training. People nearby are used to seeing soldiers, so they're pretty shaken up.
We have a lot of military live here in the county. Got a lot of friends that are military. I was in the military, and it just sort of hits you a little harder.
We know the name of one of the soldiers, Caleb Gore, from Wayne County, North Carolina. His father said his son was a gentle giant, and his dad's words, built like a tank. Now, Sharon Dankwa has been down in Fort Campbell for a lot of the day, talking with neighbors. Some of them actually saw the crash, Sharon.
Yeah, Lauren, right now the crash site behind me is blocked off, but some couples tell me they heard a loud bang last night, and when they ran outside, they saw flames shooting out of the ground, while another man says he heard the crash, but in a different way. This is what Corey Harrison says he ran outside to see just hours after feeling the ground shake beneath him.
And then he drove over there to make sure everything was okay.
You see, Harrison is deaf, so he told his daughter when he realized something was wrong. He quickly called his aunt and uncle who live up the street.
She was shocked. She didn't know what it was. And then later she found out there was a helicopter. 2 Black Hawk helicopters filled with people, Fort Campbell officers say, crashed into one another before smashing into the ground, leaving all 9 people on board both helicopters now dead. His uncle heard a big boom, and then he got up and walked out, and he said that he saw the flame.
Harrison says this all happened at around 10 o'clock Wednesday night, and when the sun came up, he sat praying.
We walked around the farm, making sure everything was okay. We saw all the paperwork that fell and all the books and everything over there at the farm.
Harrison is a pastor at an all-deaf church near the base, with a congregation filled with Fort Campbell soldiers and families.
We're blessed that it didn't hit us, but at the same time, we're sad for the other families and for our community.
Stand by. While crews continue their investigation, families and neighbors in the area say they'll continue praying for these soldiers' families. Live in Katie's, Sharon Dankwa, WSMV 4.
All right, Sharon, thank you. And we spent plenty of time in Fort Campbell today. The whole town just seems shaken up, and it sounds really rare for these training accidents to go so wrong.
It's rare, more like us. We've got a better chance of finding a unicorn in the parking lot than one of these training accidents, because when they start to work on the helicopters, it's piece by piece. They have a manual they go through. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, step by step by step by step.
Clarksville Montgomery County Schools says they're devastated, and they say their school counselors are there if students need help. For now, an Alabama safety team is going over the wreckage. They'll try to find out what went wrong, and we'll bring you any updates as we learn them. Shifting gears here, want to get you ready for tomorrow, because it's the weather that's going to turn nastier here in the next 24 hours. So Lisa Spencer's with us right now. Tomorrow, you're actually calling for a first alert weather day. You're concerned about this.
Absolutely, and especially tomorrow night, because we're expecting a front to push through, and that's going to trigger some thunderstorms. So we want you to be ready for those storms as they continue to move from the west. A few showers are already starting to develop out there, so we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. Here we have the highlighted areas where the risk is the greatest, and it really is the greatest in In West Tennessee, you can see that 4 on that 1 to 5 scale. We're in the orange zone, 3 on the 1 to 5 scale, and we do think those storms will likely weaken as they continue to move towards the east for tomorrow. Taking a look right now at what we're seeing here, we've got some showers already starting to move in, but no thunderstorms just yet. Here are the threats for us tomorrow. In terms of tornadoes, they're not a zero. We are going to see the possibility of some isolated tornadoes tomorrow. Not really looking for hail to be an issue, but we are looking for wind to be an issue tomorrow. Damaging wind is actually going to be our greatest threat for tomorrow. The timeline, just kind of a broad brush for you, from 7 to 11 here across the western part of the mid-state, 9 to 1 here in Nashville and right around Nashville, and then midnight to 4 from Murfreesboro all the way over along the Cumberland Plateau. Well, our camera has gone out for us, but it is a clear sky with 60 degrees, our latest temperature. We're tracking these showers as they're moving across parts of Missouri into Arkansas. I'll have more on this timeline just ahead with our first alert forecast.
Okay, we look forward to it. And make sure you at home grab that WSMV4 weather app. You want to leave the alerts on in case you're asleep tomorrow night when these storms hit. It's just such a handy tool to have. Well, new tonight, it's been 3 days since these 6 people were killed at Covenant School. And we've seen several vigils happening around the city, including one tonight for Evelyn Dickhouse, one of the 9-year-old victims. And we've heard from her parents. They called her a shining light, someone who loved people selflessly. Danielle Jackson, you just came from a vigil for Evelyn. Tell us about it.
Before 9-year-old Evelyn Dickhouse attended the Covenant School, she spent her early childhood years at High Hopes Development Center. Tonight, they held a vigil in her honor.
She was that bright light.
Lighting candles in Evelyn Dickhouse's honor. Many recall the 9-year-old girl as a constant beam of light and joy. She was one of the 6 victims killed inside of the Covenant School Monday morning after police say Audrey Hell, armed with a high-powered rifle, entered the school, firing multiple shots, killing 3 children and 3 staff members.
She was beautiful. She was joyful.
Gail Powell served as the center's executive director for 15 years. She says she had to attend Evelyn's vigil. She's known her since she was a baby.
She was a nurturing child with other children. And I don't think there was any child who didn't love her and any adult who didn't love her.
Alan Long, the center's current director, recalls what those gut-wrenching moments was like for this High Hope community after they found out the news.
As the news started to unfold, and we finally got the news by early afternoon that it was the child of one of our own, it changed everything.
Evelyn is described as a caring and smart 9-year-old, loved by so many, who had dreams of one day becoming an occupational therapist, just like her mother, Katie, who works at High Hopes.
She was a peer and a role model to those children. No matter what their ability were, she modeled excellence and love to those other children.
Several people in the crowd wore the color pink, one of Evelyn's favorite colors, in solidarity. They prayed, some shedding tears, and sung Jesus Loves Me. Long says losing a light bright in such a horrible way is certainly a tragedy. He says, but with their faith, they have high hopes in humanity.
I don't even know if it's fair to say that at this moment, but there is good in this world. There is good in people. And even in such horrific times like this, we have seen the best in humanity.
And the High Hopes director also shared with me that people can come by the school and leave cards and gift cards for the Dickhouse family. Evelyn's funeral is tomorrow. Lauren.
Yes, so many tears expected. Danielle, thank you. The family of Hallie Scruggs has a funeral service Saturday. It's at Covenant Presbyterian Church. Her father is the pastor there. And Cynthia Peak, also known as Cindy Peak, a sub at Covenant, will also be laid to rest Saturday. Her family gave us this statement, in part, quote, her favorite roles in life were being a mom to her 3 children, a wife to her husband, and an educator to students. We will never stop missing her. Cindy had just moved to Nashville. She has friends and family in Alabama.
We see these terrible, terrible things happening all over our country, but little did I ever expect to know anybody, directly affected.
God, It's so painful, but we have seen a lot of compassion and generosity after this shooting. And if you want to help donate, the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee is one of many organizations raising money. All the money is going to go to the Covenant School. Some of the victims also have GoFundMe pages, like custodian Mike Hills. It's raised over $550,000. Look at this now, $564,000. Way beyond the goal of 25 grand. We have links on our WSMV4 News app. Got to tell you, got to read about that man and what a difference he was making in people's lives. Our reporters have spent so many days right outside of Covenant Presbyterian. I myself did as well. Here's a picture that stands out. Check out this note on the flower and read it. It says, "I knew your killer. I wish I didn't. We all failed you. I'm so sorry." And then it went on to say, "I'll never forget." And this next part is difficult to get through, but now we do have the 911 calls from that day. They give us a complete timeline of everything that happened, all within about 14 minutes. The shooter drives up in the Honda, gets out, and then they shoot through the glass doors and enter the building. A few minutes later, we hear this 911 call.
I've heard multiple shots. When the sirens went off, I thought it was a fire drill, so I walked out of the room to go get my children, and I saw a person across the hallway, and that's when I heard shots, and I came back and locked myself in the closet with my assistant teacher.
Golly, here's another 911 call around the same time, and you'll hear children in the background of this one.
Do you want to speak to the police when they come out?
I'm happy to do that, yes, but I haven't. Yeah.
Okay. And so, okay. So what are you in a safe spot right now?
I think so.
Did you hear the child in the background saying, "I just want to go home"? Only a few minutes after that, police were able to arrive. We have their body camera footage.
They're upstairs.
Hey.
You and thousands of others have watched this video, and you know it is quick. 2.5 minutes later, the officers have shot and killed the shooter. And looking at that body camera, you see the hallways and the classrooms are empty. 200 students go to this school. Many of them ran outside right in the moment. Here is some of them. All right, keep watching here. They run out into this road. You see them right there. Covenant's on the other side of the woods. And we heard from one man who saw students coming out of those trees.
I stopped the car immediately. We jumped out. The people to the left of me stopped, get out. And once they see these kids crossing the road, everybody stopped and got out and made sure they were safe.
Your heart just aches knowing what happens next. 7 Metro school buses took students away, and the drivers took them to the reunification center down the street while police went into that school.
I mean, I'm not really a hero. I was just glad that, you know, we were here close and was able to get out there, you know, in the time that we did. And I'm just glad, you know, that we were there to help get them out of there.
That man told us today that day was his birthday, and it's one he will never forget. And the Uvalde Foundation is now offering all Metro officers who went inside Covenant a medal of heroism, all 5 of them. We only know 2 of their names, Rex Engelbert and Michael Colazzo. I'll add a third. We know Officer Joey Jakes as well. And the group's founder calls all of them heroes and says they wasted no time stopping the shooter. Meanwhile, while we're looking more into the shooter's past, we told you Tuesday the shooter messaged this woman, a friend from middle school, and said something bad is going to happen. So this woman, who you see here, called 911.
I received a very, very weird message from a friend on Instagram. I think it's like a suicidal thing. I just don't want it on my conscience. If somebody can go check on her. Only thing I have is her Instagram. I went to school with her in middle school, but I don't know no friends, no numbers, or anything like that.
Right now, the FBI is looking into the manifesto the shooter wrote. So we're going to let you know if we learn anything from that. All of the people outside of the Capitol say they've had enough of gun violence. This was this morning. The people were yelling at lawmakers. They went inside the Capitol. It was raucous. Parents, students, even children. Many have had such difficult weeks.
I had to explain to my 7-year-old who just turned 7, who went to Chuck E. Cheese, who was crying because her goldfish died, why somebody would walk into a school with a gun and shoot 3 kids dead.
Doesn't seem fair, does it? Even some lawmakers pushed for gun control today.
This is your last warning. I'm asking you politely to stay on the legislation. Representative Pearson.
Okay. This will be the last bit, but asking politely that we listen to the cries of the people outside these doors.
After the shooting, we've heard many groups who want what they're calling common sense gun laws. Laws like more background checks, red flag laws, requiring people to lock up their guns. But they are talking about school safety. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally sent this letter to Governor Lee. McNally wants 4 proposals to beef up school security. And in this 2-page document, we're going to share some of them with you. Bulletproof windows and doors, magnetic door locks, more modern security cameras, and armed guards, not just SROs. We reached out to lawmakers to see what they thought.
We should put everything on the table. School safety, mental health. Other people want to talk about guns. We can talk about guns.
That's not solving the problem. The real problem are the assault rifles on our streets that you can buy out of the trunk of a car, that you can pay cash for anywhere you want, that are getting stolen out of vehicles at alarming rates.
We're following breaking news as well. NBC reports former President Donald Trump is facing over 30 counts related to business fraud. He's accused of paying an adult film star $130,000 and writing it off as a legal expense. The president's already responded on Truth Social. He wrote, "It's an attack on our country, the likes of which has never been seen before." And no former president has ever faced criminal charges before. This is historic. President Trump's lawyers say he's innocent. If a jury finds him guilty, he could spend 4 years in prison.
I'm tracking strong to potentially severe storms headed towards Middle Tennessee. I've got the timeline for you and a preview of the weekend coming up with the First Alert forecast.
WSMV4 First Alert weather, your most accurate forecast.
Okay, so let's talk about the weather, because while it's been so gorgeous these last several days, which we're grateful for, things start to turn tomorrow, and it's to the point that it's a First Alert weather day.
Absolutely, and you know we're in a pattern because weather does come in patterns. We're on a Friday pattern right now, and I mean it's last Friday, and here we are again, and potentially the same type scenario where we're going to see the possibility of some of these storms coming tomorrow night late. Strong to severe possibility out there, and the threats again, wind and isolated tornadoes. This is that next weather maker. We've got a little bit that's going to come in out ahead of it. Then the main front will come in a bit later. This is the morning time, few little rounds of rain here. And then here comes that main line. This is 7 o'clock pushing on through. And then that front's finally going to get beyond us by the time we get to the morning on Saturday. High pressure takes over, and we do have some nicer weather coming into play for the weekend. Already the clouds are starting to move in, and not only the clouds, but look at this. Here comes that rain across the boot hill of Missouri and almost to the Mississippi River. Not quite, but almost to the river. Here's a look at those temperatures. We're at 60 right now in Nashville, 65 Clarksville, 59 degrees is the latest coming in from Murfreesboro. So with this warm air in place, with this approaching system, we are setting the stage for that potential for some isolated tornadoes, but our greatest threat is going to be high winds that could be damaging. That's tomorrow night. Not as concerned about hail or flooding in this go around. It has been a beautiful day. 73 this afternoon, a gorgeous night. 60 is our latest temperature with that south wind around 7 miles per hour. We are looking for more clouds to come in as we go through the rest of the night. Here comes the shower activity. You can see around Clarksville through Nashville around 2 in the morning. That scoots on by. 58 degrees around 7 o'clock. And notice we'll have just a little bit of rain. Not everybody's going to see the showers in the morning for the drive, but we are going to see some. We've got showers here around lunchtime, and then we get to kind of a lull in the middle of the day. It'll be warm. We'll still have plenty of clouds, mid-70s for the high. This is 7 o'clock. This is going to be the first sign of these storms starting to march in. That will, looks like it's going to split up there, but we'll watch. That line could hold together. Then here comes another around 11 o'clock. That will press onto the plateau, and then we start to see this move out for a clearing that's going to take place by the time we get to dawn on Saturday. It'll be 57 degrees, lots of sunshine, but it will be windy. And these are going to be winds outside of thunderstorms. So even during the middle of the day tomorrow, we're talking wind gusts up to near 30. So please secure your trash cans, any lawn furniture, or if you've got an umbrella stuck up there, you want to get that down. And me, I'm bad about leaving my flags out, so you might want to pull those down as well. We'll see those winds continue all the way through into Saturday. Look at that Saturday afternoon, still a gust near 30 miles an hour. Tomorrow morning, we do have a few showers around. Not everybody's going to see the rain, but it'll be about 58 at 7 o'clock, warming into the 70s during the afternoon, kind of a little bit of a lull in the afternoon, as you can see there. And a big question, sounds are getting underway tomorrow. I think we might be dry for the beginning, maybe a few showers off to the west, but it's going to be right at the end of that game to see if we complete that tomorrow. But we'll let you know how that's going tomorrow. Here's a look at our first alert forecast that shows we are going to get those storms late in the day, wind and rain during the rest of the day. Beautiful weekend, a bit windy on Saturday. Showers return with a big warm up for next week, and we could see some more thunderstorms on Wednesday. And that's another thing we'll keep you posted on as we go through. Chris?
Okay, Lisa, up next, we got a big game on the diamond on the Bayou between the Vols and top-ranked Tigers. Plus, we get a lesson in wind from Sounds manager Rick Sweet on the eve of their season opener. Stick around for that.
Join Tracy and Dan weekdays for WSMV4.
The Nashville Predators entered tonight's matchup with the Penguins just 3 points out of a playoff spot. But now they've got just 8 games left. And boy, when UC Soros has a good night, it is just really a treasure to watch. Juice was absolutely on his game. He stopped 43 shots. 43! That is a big number. The problem is the Pens put 45 shots on the net. And because the defense couldn't slow them down, Jason Zucker got here one in the first goal in the second period there, and really all Pittsburgh needed was one in this one because the Preds, they couldn't find the net. They got 28 shot attempts. None got past Tristan Jarry. 2-0 is how it ends. Nashville's back here Saturday against the Blues. Up in Knoxville, a handful of NFL hopefuls hit the field for the Tennessee Vols Pro Day in front of the scouts and coaches. And speaking of coaches, the Titans' Mike Vrabel was there, and he wasn't the only one from the organization. Vols have some talent coming out this year now. Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, Hendon Hooker, Darnell Wright, Byron Young. They're all counting down to the draft.
Some feedback I got is very good, very good. I've been talking to a lot of teams, and not only that, I have my top 30 visits coming up, so I'm going to be everywhere.
The feedback that I've gotten after the combine and after, some of the postseason bowl games, I thought physically our guys did a great job preparing themselves.
Yeah, now we're going to see where they end up. The Vols could have as many as 5 players taken in the top 100 picks. Kelly Harper liked the scout on Destiny Wells so much that she snatched her up from Belmont. Yeah, the Bruins' leading scorers headed to Thompson Bowling Arena. Wells is a 3-time all-conference player. Big move for her going to the SEC. On the diamond, huge matchup in Baton Rouge between LSU and Tennessee. Paul Skeens was throwing absolute gas. He struck out 12 batters in 7 innings. Gavin Dugas got the Tigers on the board in the 5th with a 2-run blast. There's a shot by the Vols to tie the game up in the 8th, but in the bottom of the frame, LSU go ahead, 3 RBI double, and the Tigers take it 5-2. The Nashville Sounds open their season tomorrow night. Fingers crossed that the weather cooperates, right? We went by the ballpark today, and I noticed a new building going up just beyond the outfield. Initially, I thought, man, look how close that is to the fence. But manager Rick Sweet sees something else.
Wind comes primarily from right to left. It's going to come from right to left. It's going to hit that new 7th-floor building, and it's going to kick around, hit third and home, come right to home plate, and zoom right out to right field. That's what I'm guessing. So we think it might help the balls go into right field. Do I look like a science guy? I'm just a baseball guy. But the wind currents will be changed.
I mean, we'll find out this season if meteorologist Rick Sweet is on his game. Lisa, we'll get you to weigh in on this later. We'll be right back.
Call the happy face. Hope you took advantage of the sunshine.
Absolutely. It's going to be a cloudy, windy day, some on and off rain, and the storms tomorrow night.
Okay, we'll be ready. Of course, you can always download our news or our weather app. WSMV is what you search. Otherwise, we'll see you at 4 a.m. tomorrow.